All right, intro. Welcome to
Hi,
the
every.
podcast.
Yeah.
Ashley,
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to. This is.
you
Okay.
got this.
Okay.
Oh, this tea is delicious.
Yep. I guess let's just start.
Okay, we're there.
Yeah. So this is the third episode of What's New, and today we have a special guest, Father Joe.
Hello.
So Father Joe, can you give like a brief introduction of like what you do for a living? You know.
What I do for a living? I'm a
Yeah.
priest.
You're a
I do
priest.
priest things. So I'm part of the time I'm over at St. Michael's Church of the Resurrection, and that's where I live too. My day job, for the most part, is over at Newman High School and Middle School as the chaplain. That is the very brief version of what I do for a living.
Cool.
I'm also an art critic. I have here one of Ashley's artworks from her freshman year 4 years ago. It's an orange branch with a flower on it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what updog is?
What's up, dog? I got him.
Got it. Okay, so let's get into it. So where did you grow up?
I grew up all over the place. So first 10 years were in Santa Rosa, California. So that's like San Francisco, and then move up like an hour and a half up the coast, and that's Santa Rosa. So that was until 2000. And 2000 we moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and that's where my folks live now, still same house. So that's kind of where maybe most of my adolescence and young adulthood was.
How
And
is
then
it
around.
like living in California?
So Northern California is very different than Southern California, right? So Southern California, San Diego, LA, and stuff. That's where it's like 70 and sunny all the time. Northern California is there are two seasons, right? There's like summertime, which is 70, kind of nice, and then there's winter, which is 50 degrees and rainy and overcast for like 9 months, right? That's winter. So honestly, like when it rains, I love the rain because it kind of takes me right back there. So I don't mind that. If you have seasonal affective disorder, it might be more difficult.
Okay.
Right.
So what was your like favorite thing to do there?
Well, I mean, shoot, I was a kid, so we would go to the beach every now and then. It was the water there was too cold to really do much like swimming in, just that far up, that far north. Because California, my goodness, it would take you like 15 hours to drive from the Mexican border all the way to the northern part of California, right? So it's a big state, so big temperature differences. So the water was a little bit too cold to swim in the ocean, but still, we'd go and we'd like do, what an agate is?
No.
An agate, it's a rock that because of the way it's been like tumbled in the sea, it's not translucent. I think opaque is the word for when it's like it lets light through, but you can't see through it. I could be completely wrong about that. So we do like agate hunting and stuff like that. The rest of it was just kind of like hanging out in the neighborhood with the neighborhood kids, and riding bikes and stuff. And yeah, it was kind of suburbia, but really more than anything just hippieville, right? Like it was
Okay.
really just
Yeah.
it was really just a bunch of hippies that I lived around, and they were great. They were great, but
How old were you when you moved?
10,
You're
10,
10.
right?
Wow. But
Yeah,
you were
so
like homeschooled, right?
that's a hard shift. Yes, I was
Yeah.
until fifth grade. So I when we moved, I was in fourth grade. I did 1 year of homeschooling here in La Crosse, rather, and then went into Catholic school system, the Aquinas school system. So, yeah,
So is Aquinas in La Crosse?
that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's the Newman system, but the La Crosse version.
How did you end up in Wisconsin then?
Yeah. So my folks both have roots. My dad is from Cleveland originally, and my mom's from Madison. His family just moved around a lot when they were kids, and she was in an Air Force family, right? So they would kind of bounce around. So her dad served in like Vietnam and stuff like that, and they would kind of move around. They both wound up in California eventually, met each other, got married, and had us. And then eventually my grandma, who was out in Elroy, Mauston area, she got cancer in the 90s. So we came back and visited her a few times before she died in 99, I think. And that was kind of enough to remind my parents, like, hey, actually, Midwest is kind of a cool place. that was at the same time they were looking for maybe a more, I don't know what's the word to use for it. Not conservative. They were looking for just a different place to raise us than California. Right? I mean, the hippies are great, but they were just looking for kind of a different culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back and live with the hippies now. As a middle schooler, it would have been weird and different. Right.
Did you miss it? Like when your parents told you that you were moving, was it kind of like a
Yeah.
big shift, you know?
Yeah, good question. So my brother and sister, I have an older brother and older sister by a few years. They were kind of the main part of my social group, right? So I left a few friends behind, but for the most part, like I kind of brought my pod with me. So that made a little bit of an easier transition. Plus, I was still, I mean, 10-year-olds, kids are elastic enough that it was a pretty natural shift. I kind of enjoyed it. I just found a spot on my shoe where it's, oh no, it's just salt. Never mind. I took care of it. Yeah. So kids are elastic enough where it really wasn't an issue. We just kind of slid right into it, and it was kind of natural. So missed it a bit, but I liked the seasons more. Yeah.
Did you like play games with your sister and brother? You know,
A little bit. Like we would
yeah.
play. We'd play like football and baseball in the street and stuff like that in California more. When we got out here, they went right to Aquinas. My sister went to 8th grade. My brother was a freshman, right? So there was a little bit of a shift even with that, where I stayed at home, so there was even a little bit of a separation that took some time to work through. It was just a natural thing. Took some time to work through with them going to school, me staying home, and then kind of having to reestablish my social group a little bit with completely brand new people. So that was a weird thing. That was a different thing, but yeah.
Were they homeschooled with you in California? Or?
In California, they were. Yeah. So I think they went to the public school in town until I think my sister was in 2nd grade. My brother was in 3rd grade when my parents pulled them out and started them in homeschool. And I started at the same time. I think that was probably kindergarten that I started it up. So, right, they did a few years, but not much.
Could you like talk about like the homeschool experience?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't experience that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you're a McCarty, you really don't know that much about it, right? So, yeah, it's sometimes you look at it and it's like, so homeschoolers just stay in their pajamas all day, right? It's like, well, I mean, yes, but there's something to it. So you wake up, it's more independent. So you get your assignments and everything like that. You work through them. So it might be a little bit less of a work day. You might be going for like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. More individually driven. And then my mom was kind of our main teacher. So my dad was general contractor. He would go to work and she'd stay back with us and she'd stay home with us and kind of do the teaching and whatnot. I mean, the nice thing about the independence with it is, you can if you wanna like go for it, you can kind of take a faster pace, right? So that was a nice thing. That was a nice thing that maybe gave me a leg up in some ways as far as joining the rest of my classmates in 6th grade. But then also like socially, right? It's a much different thing where you don't have nearly as much social exposure if you're not big into sports activities and whatnot. So like that was a big transition. I mean, middle school is already rough, right? Middle school is already just rough for anybody. So it was kind of the transition into a group of students that had known each other since kindergarten. Plus, I'm coming from a different culture really from California. And then also this sense of just like being an outsider a bit, not knowing this is what it looks like to be a teenage kid, that every teenager goes through, right? So it was a bit of a weird transition coming out of homeschool, but homeschool itself, I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like it was a decent education for elementary school. Yeah.
When did you get your glasses?
Yeah.
If viewers don't know, Father Joe wears glasses, by the way.
Yeah. Or contacts, but.
Or contacts.
Yeah.
But you never wear contacts, so.
No, I have like 1-a-day contacts, and I usually use those for like exercise, for backpacking and stuff like that. but they kind of like they dry out my eyes more. The 1-a-days, they do more than like the 30-day contacts. So anyway, sophomore, junior year, high school, something like that. And then I stopped wearing them for a little bit, and probably late college, I started wearing them consistently.
So what's your eye prescription?
It's not strong. I mean, it's not a lot. I can still see all right. What's this?
No.
49, 20, 145. So there you go.
That's not the prescription.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. That's like the width of the glasses. Like,
No.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Father Joe.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
I have like bought glasses before, and that's like the width of like each area.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, here's what it is.
No,
it's 49. So I'm
no,
nearsighted.
It's not it.
I'm nearsighted in my right eye, and I am also nearsighted in my left eye, but worse. And the 20 in the middle is that I can see. I can see just fine up close, right?
Right. No, it's not. Like, it's usually like ranging from like -1 to like something else, like -5.
No. That's the diameter of your pupil or
No,
of your
it's not.
iris or something like that.
No, it's not.
Contacts. Yes.
No, it's not. That's your eye prescription. Because I'm like a negative like 4.75.
Oh well, I'm just a -20. So how do you feel about that?
That's
my
pretty
goodness,
bad.
Now I feel like I got bad eyes, worse eyes. Wait, you have -1? Do you wear glasses?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, every now and then you do. I didn't know
Yeah.
if they were. I didn't know if they were prescription or if they were.
Those are fake.
If they were.
I just like them.
Yeah, they're a
Yeah.
good look, like the
Yeah.
gold rimmed ones there.
Yeah.
The Y rim.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But yeah, that's not your prescription.
I think that's my
No, it's
prescription.
not.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
Okay,
We're gonna have to
fine.
disagree to disagree.
But that's not your prescription. You can ask your doctor.
Agree to disagree. I
That's
don't.
not-
I mean, I could. And Mr. Ackerman.
Anywho, okay, let's
Mr.
move on
Ackerman
to
just
high
walked
school.
by.
Let's move. Yeah.
Move on to high school. Wow,
Yeah.
we're just going straight through personal history here. Okay, we
Yeah.
got this. I'm 31
Okay.
years old, so
So
we got a ways to go.
In our Newman News episode,
Newman News.
you said that you were planning to become a chef.
Yes, at one point.
Why?
So my high school job. I mean, it was my first job. I stuck with it. I stuck with it. That's stuck with a T. I started freshman year as a dishwasher and a busboy, and then kind of kept going through to become eventually, like in college when I would come back and work to be a line cook, which I just enjoyed. I enjoyed that setting. Now I don't know if you've ever worked in a kitchen. Kitchens are
I have.
yeah, they're grungy places with
yeah.
grungy people, right? So
Yeah.
my junior senior year in high school, I was just super into that, and I was like, maybe being a chef could be a cool way to live my life. Now, as it is, I'm not unhappy with what I ended up doing, becoming a priest, or not going to culinary school, for instance, because it is a hard life. But the people that really go for it, that really lean into it, my goodness, they do some amazing work, but it kind of takes everything, right? So, yeah.
So it started with just a job.
Yeah, started with a job. I loved working in a kitchen, and then I ended up not going to culinary school and instead going to seminary for a few years and then dropping out. So that's why I did not go to culinary school. But
So like, what made you kind of change, like have a change of heart?
yeah, so I mean, the first time I went to seminary, it maybe wasn't for the best reasons. It was more along the lines of a lot of people that were kind of saying, "Hey, you'd make a good priest. You should go to seminary," which that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It was a bad thing that maybe that was like my only reason, like just listening to what other people were telling me I should do, right? So it wasn't a good enough reason to go in the first place. My sophomore year, I ended up kind of getting into a crisis point where I was trying to figure out like what the heck is going on with my life. What am I actually supposed to be doing? And it kind of became clear through a lot of prayer and talking with my spiritual director, my bodybuilding spiritual director, who was like 5'4" and could break me in half like a twig, right? Like he's just one of those guys that when he said something, you listen to him.
Nice.
Just cut that part out.
We
That
can't.
ought to show up on that. That ought to show up pretty clear. So anyway, he eventually kind of just gave me some good advice and asked a question like, Joe, have you thought about the possibility that maybe God doesn't want you in seminary right now? And I remember as soon as he asked that, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly it. So anyway,
So
that's why I
after
quit
that,
seminary.
like, what did you do? You know?
Finished school. I was a little bit too lazy to pick a new major, so I just stuck with philosophy, which is what like college seminarians study. Um, which I mean, I did all right in philosophy. If I were to go back and do it differently, with being a priest not being my end game, I probably wouldn't do philosophy again. But that's what I ended up studying. After college, I was a missionary for 3 years, and then went to seminary after that for 5. Got ordained, and that's when I got here.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So,
You've
but I
had,
mean, that's like
yeah.
11 years that I just said in 15 seconds. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel that your experience shows that it's okay to, kind of discover, and sometimes things
yeah.
don't go the way that you plan,
Right.
which is like a really hard truth to face, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I even love, right, when I was missionary, I was working with college students, and like a really common crisis that would come up would be, like, shoot, I came to college planning to be an accountant, and now that I'm a year and a half in, it's like I'm seeing this is not what I want to do. I actually want to be, a high school English teacher, which is completely different. So it's like, okay, that's all right. That's an all right thing to have a crisis like that. And you might have to take an extra year of school or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a great time. I love kind of that college age, because it's such a real time where my emotions, my life, everything is just so real here, right? And I'm allowed to make mistakes, and I'm allowed to change my mind about stuff. Yeah. So.
Because I feel like that's where a lot of the hurt comes from, is that you have this fixed mindset of this is what I'm going to do, instead of like allowing yourself to be like, this is something I'm interested in.
Right.
But like wherever God wants to take me, he'll take me there,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like as seniors, that's something that we're all facing. It's just kind of that fear in a way of like, what is my life going to look like, because my idea of what I want my life to look like might not align with what's going to happen, which is something that I think a lot of us face.
Right.
But
and even that sense of I have an idea of what I want my life to look like. Now that's completely different than what my life is actually going to look like in 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, right? And it's not necessarily, all right, well, I guess I'll give up that dream. It's no, like new dreams develop, dreams change and grow, right? Even the same ones that we have. So it might be. And so, what do you think of for next year?
Oh yeah, Zong's in the room too, guys.
Yeah, Zong's here.
Next year, I was thinking about IT, either at Milwaukee or Madison.
Yeah, right. So it could be like in 5 years, 10 years, you've graduated, and you're doing great in IT. It could be that. It could be something. I mean, you could be an astrophysicist. You should be an astrophysicist.
You should be
Are
an
you smart enough for that? I
astronaut.
don't know what your GPA
So I
is.
can come
I
to
don't need know
NASA
that.
and visit you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should be an astronaut and then take us to space.
Yes, please. That'd be so cool.
Just throw us in the
And
throw us in the trunk, and we'll go up to space together.
That'd be so cool.
Have someone be an astronaut for my grade.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good.
I know.
Probably
I
not.
know. Probably not.
Yeah.
But anyways, so during that time when you were kind of like discerning what you're gonna do, did you ever think about like marriage, like that vocation?
Oh, yeah, very much. So especially as a missionary, there were a few girls that I was dating at different times. Right, two in particular that I was very much thinking like, yeah, I think this could be like the woman that I marry, right? One in particular, when kind of seminary became a possibility, because I was planning, after I left the first time, I was not planning on coming back. I was planning on getting married and having a family and stuff. And I remember one girl in particular that I was dating, really just a wonderful woman. Funny, intelligent, much holier than I am. She was a modern dance major in college, which meant that she was more interesting than I was with my philosophy degree, right? So there was just a lot there, and the kind of person that, when I look at her, it's like, if I were to marry you, you would make me who I'm like. You'd make me a saint, right? You're the person that would make me Saint Joseph, and I would kind of fumble along and try and do the same, but it would be like marrying up, right? So no, we went out a few times, and it was on one of our dates actually that we were super Catholic, so the whole thing was starting off. It was going to be a great date. Do you want to hear about the date?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give it to you. So
Please.
We're missionaries, right? So like doing super Catholic, just living that life. So the way this date was going to be, we were in Florida during the summertime. Now that's not a great start because Florida in the summertime is like 110 degrees all the time. But we're there. We were going to start with a holy hour, so like go to adoration for an hour, and then
this is so Catholic.
I had this. I said it was so Catholic, right? It's a thing.
Yeah.
So. And we were gonna do this, and then we were gonna take a walk out, and there was this gazebo out in the country that I had a picnic set up at, and again, dance major, so I had a speaker set up, and after the picnic we were gonna have some dancing and stuff like that, and I knew the forecast was gonna be like just a torrential rainstorm pouring down, so we would be like in the gazebo just hanging out. It was gonna be super romantic and everything. It was like this. This was a primo super Catholic date, right? And I remember during the holy hour, during that adoration hour beforehand, like the whole first half hour, all I could think was, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Thank you, Lord, for like convincing this woman to say yes to a date with me, and then another, right? Like I was just amazed that she had even said yes in the first place, and in the second and the third place too. That was the whole first half hour. Right around the half hour mark, I remember, like this click in my mind. There was like, we have to talk. It's like, son of a gun. What do we have to talk about? And I just heard. It wasn't a different voice. It was just. It felt like my own thoughts, like my own heart that was saying it, but like it wasn't from me. This very clear sentiment, this very clear thought, this isn't it. I was like, what do you mean this isn't it? Of course this is it. Look at her, right? She's amazing. Like, she's going to make me a saint, and I said, well, if this isn't it, what is? And I didn't hear anything then. It was just, this isn't it. So we still had the rest of the date, and got to the gazebo. I had the picnic and everything, and then I told her, Carrie, this is. So this came up in prayer earlier, and we kind of talked it through and agreed. It's like, all right, so I got some work I got to do in my own heart. If that sorts out and we can come back to this, excellent. But I got some work I got to do first. So stepped away from that relationship, and then there were another few girls that I dated as things went along. But that was one of the big moments where it was like, okay, so like here's something really good that would be really good for me, right? In the sense of this would be good just for me as a person, but it's not the good thing for me, right? So for someone else, absolutely, but just not for me. So that was kind of one of the steps that brought me to the point of eventually asking the question, like, do you want me to go to seminary? And kind of as soon as I asked that question, it became pretty clear that it's like, yeah, this is it. So yeah, there you go.
Wow, that was a lot.
So if you ever want me to plan a just killer great Catholic date for you,
yeah,
I got you. It's a very niche market. Niche. It's a very niche market, but
yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
Once you started with Holy Hour, I was like, oh, okay.
I warned you 3 times it would be a super Catholic date.
Yeah. So what is the best dating advice you could give someone?
Oh, my goodness. Shoot, it's been a minute since I was in the dating scene, right? So let's be super clear about that. That being said, sometimes like we can get kind of afraid of, it's all or nothing, right? So if I ask this girl out, like that's it. What if she says no? Like, that's the end of the world. It's like, well, no, if she says no, she's allowed to say no, right? That's a thing. Or maybe she says yes, and it doesn't go well. Okay, so then you can still be friends. It'll be awkward for a little bit, but then you'll get over it, and you'll still be friends. Maybe, or maybe you won't, and that relationship is just over. And sometimes that happens. But sometimes we can have this fear that, if I put myself out there, even if I express, whether it's the guy or the girl, if I even express, like my interest in you, then like that vulnerability is a very dangerous place, because what if you say no, and then my heart's just on the floor, right? Whereas sometimes we just kind of gotta go for it and say, all right, I'm gonna take the first step, be the vulnerable one here, step out of maybe my safe space, and make the ask, like, hey girl, you want to go out with me? And sometimes you just gotta do it. Or hey guy, whatever it might be. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like our generation, we're just not in that.
Well,
we're not.
That's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dating in Gen Z looks completely different.
Like,
than,
everyone is scared.
yes.
It's like not, yeah.
For so many reasons, though.
And it's like they hide behind a phone and they DM people.
Right?
And it's like, oh my God.
Well, Ash, when were you born? You were born like right after 9/11,
No,
right?
I wasn't.
Kind of, like 4 or 5 years.
Like,
when were you born?
Like 2004.
2004, 3
Yeah.
years after 9/11. So, I mean, that was a big thing that shook our safety, right? When you were 4 years old, we had a massive recession, throughout, like 2012, there was all this mess. COVID, my goodness. Like, so many of your formative years have been shaken by just absolute chaos. So it makes some sense there, right? That you're used to not being safe and grabbing as much safety as you can. I can't blame you for it, because it's been weird. Anyway, that's an entirely different topic, but
Yeah.
it's a thing.
I feel like our generation isn't well trained in the dating aspect, but I feel like speaking up and standing up is definitely somewhere where our generation kind of stands out from other generations, because we're more exposed to
Right.
what the world is going through just because of social media. And
Yeah.
as a result of that, like, a lot of us are developing our own morals and beliefs and which I think is really cool.
Right.
That, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very
like-
important thing to look at, right? That you are exposed to a lot more, a lot earlier. So even this sense that you grew up a lot earlier than my peers, certainly than Gen X. There's, my goodness, down with Gen X.
Wait, you're part of Gen X? So
What's
is
that?
Mr. Basil.
No.
Oh
No,
my God.
I'm a
I was like, you're super old.
I'm a millennial. No, I'm a
Okay.
millennial. I'm right in front of you. But right, you've just been forced to grow up a lot earlier than we have, and part of that kind of adds to this sense of like social consciousness and responsibility, which is I think a good thing. We're coming close to the next bell ringing. Do you have any zingers you need to throw at me too?
Yeah. A special question from Song. How did you spend your Valentine's Day?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Actually, so every few months we get all the baby priests, all the junior clergy that have been ordained like in the last 5 years. Every few months we get together. So I happen to be with like 11 other new priests. We watched the Super Bowl, had like a business meeting, and then we just kind of hung out on Monday. And then I realized Monday night, I was like, oh, this was Valentine's Day, wasn't it? So it wasn't really. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really something I miss.
A speed run. How did you develop a singing voice?
So part of it is just nature, like, just some gift there, but also in college I did like chamber singers and stuff like that, and took some lessons.
Can you sing your favorite song?
Oof, my
Right
goodness.
now.
Well, it's a question. What's my favorite song? It's been stuck in my head, like what you know about rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb, you can call them. You know that one?
Yeah,
Right,
I know that one.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And then can you freestyle rap to this?
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful
freestyle. I've never done any
beatboxing
freestyle rapping. I don't know.
by CMZ. Ready? Okay. I'm gonna put it.
Hello, Father Joe. This is producer Sam Easy coming at you with another hot beat.
Another hot beat.
Okay, now you have to rap.
You never give me a hot beat in my life. I can't. I can't even start this. This is my goodness. You can't even see the movements of his hands. What is up with this? I can't do it. I can't do it.
So
this is a place of vulnerability for me. My goodness, and you're just exposing
It's not that hard. I did it. It's really not that hard.
I believe it.
Can you sing the national anthem at one of the basketball games?
Sure.
Okay. Can priests make music that's not Catholic, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean...
Does it have to involve God?
No.
No?
No. Yeah, I have almost no talent in songwriting or anything, or music writing. But I have some buddies who very much do, and they have just some beautiful work they've put out.
So, like, what do you do with that money? Because you can't make money off of it, right?
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Yeah. Yeah, if you belong to a religious order, which is a whole different thing, then, like, your money goes to the order. But, like, I mean, I get a salary, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so as a priest, are there certain projections or judgments made by you that you kind of want to denounce and, like, say, guys...
Made about me?
Like, about, like, priests overall,
right,
you know?
Priests.
Like, just, like,
Oof.
biases of, like, oh, this is, like, how a priest is, like...
How heavy
like,
do you want to go with it?
I don't know.
Okay.
How heavy do you want to go with it?
Well, Zong, how heavy do we want to go with it?
Zong, you have to go.
Okay. What do you got, activity period now?
Well, I don't have to go, but you have NHS. Yeah.
Oh.
I'll leave when there's like a minute.
Okay. Excellent. I'll write you a hall pass. So I mean, there's a lot of things. It's going great. I did not rap, Sam.
Oh my god.
Sam just walked on past.
Yay.
So I mean, one of the big things to be just very honest about, I think, is like the abuse crisis. For a long time, especially in the 2000s, like 2000 to 2010, it became a pretty. I mean, it became like one of SNL's standard jokes, right? Anytime you talk about a priest, you have to talk about how he's a pedophile or something like that. Which, again, like I said, we're going heavy with it. Now, just the reality, that's not the case, right? That's not the case. I have a few brothers that has been the case, that have done some very serious damage, and unfortunately, there's a lot of healing that still has to be done, and that's a big part of my ministry is kind of trying to show that no, it's possible to have authentic love that isn't abusive, right? That's a real thing. So that's on the very heavy side. On a more lighthearted side would be even just the sense of priests as other, right? The sense that priests are unapproachable, which sometimes is the case. You know, just like with anybody. You know, there are IT people that are unapproachable. There are teachers. There are students that are unapproachable. But unfortunately, it's maybe been the case that a lot of people's experience of priests is that I can't really have a real conversation with you, which is kind of too bad. So a big part of my work is first trying to ease people into recognizing it's like, hey, we're cool. You know, we can talk and have a real conversation, and then having those real conversations. So yeah, there are a lot of stigmas, maybe a lot of stereotypes that are built up around the priesthood. Some of them are fair. Many of them, I mean, they're there for a reason. But you know, part of my work is kind of trying to break some of those down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This might be controversial, but like, why do you think there's a decline in the priesthood?
Yeah.
You know? And is it sisterhood, nunhood? I don't know what it's called. Religious life.
I'll have Andy come
Okay.
stop it when you guys are done.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Zong. Bye.
Thank you.
Have fun at NHS. Why is there a decline in the priesthood? There's a decline in just religious life across the board, right? I mean, actually, even something you pointed to, the sense that Gen Z has of kind of waking up a lot earlier, becoming adult a lot earlier with your own judgments, with your own moral calls. You know, part of that is I'm going to take a hard look at my religious beliefs earlier on in life. Now that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. The bad thing is maybe the way that we approach our relationship with Christ. the way that we approach our relationship with Christ sometimes is with how we first learned about it, which was as second graders, third graders. So when someone's a junior or senior in high school, if they're approaching their relationship with Christ with a third grade faith, right, it makes sense. You're going to flee. I can't blame somebody for that. So across the board, we have a decline in just interest in the faith. It's something that also is kind of part of priesthood too, where it's had a lessening in numbers. Same thing with religious life. Priests, we have a decent number still coming in. Religious life, sisters, brothers are difficult because one of the reasons I became a priest was I had examples of very good priests in my life. My high school chaplain, the guy I worked with as a missionary, guys that I could look at and say, oh, being a priest is actually like a good way to spend a life. Religious sisters, I'm guessing you probably don't have much experience of religious sisters. So even if that were what you were called to, it might be difficult to discern that because you might not have any experience of good religious sisters that kind of indicate this is a realistic way that I could spend my life, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And like going back to the Gen Z thing, I feel like physically, like responsibilities just in like, like I don't know how to explain it, but we're not very mature in that sense. I feel like it's more mentally and emotionally. Okay. Because I feel like my generation, we're very privileged with what we have. Because I feel like Gen Z, we have a lot of privileges, like financially and just like, like we live in a world where, I don't know, like you see it, like influencers and like Instagrammers and stuff like that. It's like, we kind of have it easier than other generations of having to do like hard labor and all of that stuff,
That's a really sharp observation too. Like that sense that we have heightened social consciousness and a heightened sense of moral responsibility, but like just working responsibility, what we have to do, we haven't really had to do as much, which is not just the case for Gen Z. That's certainly millennials too. But maybe Gen Z that's heightened, so that's a good thing to note.
Yeah. So if you had to go to war with another parish,
if I had to go to war,
yeah, who would it be? Like if you had to like fight them in battle.
I had to fight them. Like, is it just me versus the priest, like a David and Goliath thing, or is it like
sure.
our parishes are going to fight each other?
That one.
The second one?
Yeah.
Our people are going to fight each other?
No. You and your people.
Oh, so
like you're going to be leading them.
So I just get to pick which priest I want to beat up.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I'd say probably, well, Newman's playing Columbus tonight, and I think I could beat up their chaplain. So I would say I wouldn't even go after a parish. I would go after school. I would go after Columbus with Newman at my back. And we would win.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favorite altar server and reader? Yeah.
Favorite reader? Oh well, Ashley, it's you, of course.
Yeah. Obviously.
Favorite altar server? My goodness. There are a few of the middle schoolers that are pretty awesome. We also we have a real good crew of underclassmen, but upperclassmen especially, that keep stepping up to the plate. And I'm not going to name which one specifically. I don't think Zong has ever served. Wait, Zong has served for me once.
He has?
Maybe on retreat.
What?
I
really?
think. Maybe it was on retreat. I'm not sure.
Force him to do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah. Him and Piffy.
Right.
I want to see that happen.
It's on it's on the podcast, so it has to happen. Yeah.
Because they both won't know what they're doing, so it'll be funny.
Yeah. Piff's done it once.
He's done it once, but like Jack kind of knows how to do it.
Right.
But without Jack, would be funnier.
He's telling him what to do.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go for mass in 4 minutes. What other questions?
Do you think you could see a mass fully memorized, like without the book?
If I had the readings available, yes, I could. The problem is there are a few of the prayers that are specific to the day.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, I'm like cutting you off.
Good.
Do you, if you became Pope, what would be your name? Like, what name would you choose for yourself?
Great question. What would you want to call me?
I don't know.
If I become Pope, I'll let you choose my name.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. What made you decide to become a priest instead of staying as a deacon?
Oh.
Quick.
Yeah. So, deacon, they're kind of two kinds. They're the same thing. Permanent deacon is somebody who does it for their entire life. Those are usually married guys. Or a a guy who's going to become a priest becomes first, he also a deacon, but a transitional deacon is the name for it. That's pretty much, I'm going to be a deacon for a year and then I'll become a priest. So it's just kind of part of the process.
Okay. What is one thing that instantly makes your day better?
Exercise. When I get good exercise in, it's pretty predictable. This is a good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. Who do you think would win in an arm wrestling match, you or Zong?
I don't know. Because Zong, he's one of those guys.
He's pretty buff.
He's one of those guys that he doesn't like zero in on one sport or another, but you see him, like he went out for basketball this year, and I know he's played in the past too, and he's like really good. He's just one of those natural athletes.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, my college roommate was the same way, where it's like, dude, you don't need to work at this. You're just naturally good at sports, and I don't want to say I hate you, because I don't, but I'm just so envious.
So Zong would win, probably.
I think that might be. I don't know.
I feel like he would.
We might have to test it. I got old man joints. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So probably him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last questions for the speed round?
Nope.
That's
okay.
all Sam had?
Yep. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being on the podcast. And yeah, we're done.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye.
I spoke for most of it. I didn't really give you much of a chance to speak, but
Well, because I was supposed to.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
All right.